Never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it when it can have a very positive impact.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
The way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to win over hearts and minds. And what that means is we've got to invest in countries that have no educational infrastructure and have no means for young people to get ahead. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
Stay tuned for politics and religion.
This story comes to us from Fox News just yesterday. They are asking the question, should the United States support the International Criminal Court? Now, proponents of world government have for many years, I'm talking about since the founding of the United Nations in 1945, they have insisted that someday there must be an international court system. And why not? If you're going to have a world government, you need all of the structures that are present at the federal level to be present at the global level. The big question, of course, is, do we really want a world government ruling the entire world? What are the implications of all of that? And if you don't like the world government, where do you run to? Well, I guess you've got to get on one of those outer space voyages that they're now starting to sell. Well, anyway, the question is being asked in this article today, should the United States support the International Criminal Court? Now, this has all been brought up by the recent review conference of the International Criminal Court in Kampala, Uganda. Uganda provided state parties their first formal opportunity to assess the court's performance to date. It was also the first chance to assess the decision by the Obama administration to attend ICC meetings, reversing the Bush administration's boycott. One of the biggest hindrances to the court up to now has been the withholding of the participation of the world's lone superpower, the United States of America. Well, all that's changing now because Barack Obama is a one-worlder from the top of his head to the soles of his feet, and therefore he is doing what he said he would do, and that is he is moving to place the world under the jurisdiction, place the United States under the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court. Now, let's make sure that we get this, because this is no little development. This is huge. I'm talking about you being hauled out of the United States of America and being placed on trial in a foreign land without the protection of the U.S. Constitution or the Bill of Rights. Don't let anybody tell you it's not true. It is true. Would you like to be put in that position? If we sign on to the International Criminal Court, then that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, a lot of people are going to say, but there's all kinds of safeguards and so on. Now, here's what they're actually contending. They say if a nation is willing to give an individual a fair trial and is willing to prosecute them in a legal and even-handed manner, it's never going to get to the international level. However, who determines whether the nation is willing to give them a trial? Let's say that you do something that the International Criminal Court thinks is a violation of 4 categories of crimes: genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, or crime of aggression. Let's say you commit one of those acts in the eyes of the ICC. But United States law investigates and they decide what you have done is not a prosecutable offense. Now all of a sudden, someone at a higher level has to decide, did the United States courts fairly consider the case, or have they been delinquent and therefore the international court system must intervene? You say, well, that wouldn't happen. That's exactly what is happening. When Mr. Milosevic was put out of power, the new president of Yugoslavia said, we will place him on trial. And the international community said, no, you won't. We don't have confidence that he will receive a fair trial there. Why? Well, that was their judgment. They wanted him before an international criminal court where it could become a show trial for all of the earth to see what happens to a person who resists the will of the world community. Never mind that the world community went in there illegally, drummed up charges against Milosevic. The United Nations would not even support the mission because it felt like it had no authority to go in. But Bill Clinton led the charge. He used the forces of NATO against Milosevic, removing him from power. Then when Milosevic consented to the next presidential election, he lost. He peacefully gave up power. He bowed to the will of the electorate. But then George W. Bush said to the new president, now you've got to deliver him to us. We want to put him on trial. The new president said, we'll do it. He said, no, you won't. So this is, wow, what a mess this is. This is world government on steroids. And I don't think we really want to be there. China is the largest nation on earth. But is it mentioned in the prophecies of the Bible? Today, we will explore China in the Bible and its role in end-time prophetic events. It's time for another exciting edition of Politics and Religion.
Look, there are two things I don't discuss: politics and religion.
In my house, we don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion.
I'll talk to you about anything except politics and religion.
I never talk about politics and religion.
Politics determines how we'll live here on earth. Religion determines how we'll live forever. I'm Irvin Baxter. I think it's time we talk about it.
Well, it's an interesting subject that a lot of people have questions about. Here you've got this nation of 1.3 billion people. Most people think the 21st century will ultimately become the Chinese century. China is becoming stronger and stronger economically. The United States of America is becoming weaker and weaker economically. We are running huge trade deficits with China. We are becoming more indebted to China every day. They estimate our present debt to China is something like 1.7 trillion. I don't know how accurate that is, but it's way too much, that's for sure. We're running about, I think it's $1 billion a day that we do trade with China, most of it by Walmart. If you'll shop in Walmart, you'll see almost everything is made in China. I think I read the statistics that 90% of everything that we buy in Walmart is made in China. So with the Walmarts everywhere, all over the United States of America and even around the world, this has become a huge boon for